I'm Clarissa here. So I already set up my handphone in a way to record the videos, or rather the answers for you. I will be looking at my monitor screen just to read through the questions so that I make sure I'm answering directly to your questions. So here we go. So I was diagnosed with neuroendocrine tumor, large carcinoma, in February of this year, 2020. I remember specifically it was on the 27th or 28th of February, towards the end of February. At that point of time, when I was officially diagnosed, it was actually stage 4 advanced. Just to give you an understanding of how aggressive it was, a week ago before the official diagnosis from another doctor, it was actually stage 3B. So within a week's time, it advanced to stage 4 advanced. So that was what I was diagnosed with. How old am I? I'll give you a guess, but I'm actually 39 this year. I turned 39 in May. So what I understand is neuroendocrine, or rather NETs, it's very hard to be diagnosed because most of the times people may mistake that as a headache or or stomach pain or anything else, something like that. So I was quite lucky that the doctors were able to diagnose in time, and I'm very thankful for the doctor who actually did that. So it was in December as of last year. Usually my menstrual cycle is very on point. It's very on time, and it comes every 25 days. So in December, after the normal cycle, there was a bleeding started for like 5 days and it stopped. And then in January, that's when the blood flow was actually very heavy. It became heavier and heavier, and that's when the doctor felt. I felt it wasn't right. So in December, when I went for a medical checkup, the doctor already mentioned that she referred me to a gynae. So that's when I went to a gynae. The gynae also made me take the tumor marker test. I think it was something C something 125. And somehow the results came back normal. So obviously the tumor test or the cancer marker test was not looking out for NETs, was not testing for NETs. So obviously it is just, for me, my understanding is the tumor marker test normally looks out for the generic type of cancer cells. This one is just a very rare kind. How rare it is about 3% of the global population has this. And if you need to refer to someone whom we generally know who has been diagnosed with this before, normally I would actually quote Steve Jobs or Irfan Khan, who has unfortunately departed from this world, from us. No, I don't have any as far as I know. I think the treatment process for me was basically, to be honest, not many doctors have dealt with these cases before. I don't know if it's anywhere else outside of KL. Because I'm not familiar with the medical world, right? So obviously my network may not know a lot, but I'm very lucky enough to be referred to someone who knows in one of the PG hospitals, and then he referred me to another person in another district. I can't really say the hospital name. The treatment was okay. What was prescribed to me, or what was actually 6 times of tri-weekly chemo. Each chemo actually had 3 different bags of chemo. 3 different types of medicine was actually prescribed to me, and then after the 6th cycle, I was then moved on to radiotherapy, running concurrently with 5 times of weekly chemo. So it's 28 times of radio, alongside 5 times of weekly chemo to go with that. No, I don't think so. The obstacles, I would say, is most likely insurance claims. I don't know whether you know, but sometimes a lot of times companies say their insurance is covered, but they need once I discovered this, I realized that the company doesn't cover everything for critical illnesses, and luckily enough, my company does cover a substantial amount. But other companies, as I am aware of, um, doesn't really cover. So for those who, if you know of anyone working in the corporate world, it'd be good for them to review their company's policy and make sure that they are actually covered for their own personal medical insurance, because that's very important. Just to give you a figure of how much I've spent per chemo treatment, it was almost 20K per trip. So I'll let you figure that number out. How did I feel? So just to give you a context of how of the person or the lifestyle I have, I think you would consider me as a person with a very low risk, meaning to say that I watch what I eat. Basically, I believe that what you put into your body is what you are. I try to go plant-based as much as I can. I make a conscious effort to eat less meat. I actually work out. I make an effort to work out at least at a minimum 3 times a week, for about 45 minutes to an hour every time. I also am a fitness instructor in one of the local gyms here in KL, and I do work full time as well. So I guess if you look into, and I don't smoke, I hardly drink. I only drink maybe a glass of wine due to other people's wedding or a big occasion. I hardly drink. So you will consider me as a low risk person, but somehow, I still got that. So you can imagine when I received the news back in February, it it was a shock to my system. And to be honest with you, it took me about 4 months to actually come into terms what I was diagnosed with. It wasn't easy for my family, especially my husband, I think, because it is not only about what I eat or how I live my lifestyle. It is also about what the things that you put on. I'm also cautious that my husband actually taught me about what you actually put onto your body, meaning like the cosmetic stuff that you put. Some of them can have a lot of isopropyl or rather alcohol in them, and that is not really good because then it kind of affects your body system, right? So I always choose organic as least ingredients as possible in a certain product, or at least it is organically certified to say that this is safe for me. Why is because I was told, or I was also made aware that your skin is your biggest organ. So you can imagine it's not only not only for women the makeup products or even the hair products that you put on your hair, and it also impacts in terms of what you use in the house, like your detergent, your washing detergent for your clothes, for the floor, the things that you use to wash your hands and even wash your plates. So those are equally important as well, what you put in. Even if you burn incense or anything, you kind of need to be careful of what you do. So this is my lifestyle, and so you can imagine I try to lead a very ideal or healthy lifestyle, but yet when the news hit, it was very difficult for me and my husband to accept. Plus some more, it is rare, right? And obviously the mortality rate, it was unknown. If you look into Google, there's not many news about it. There's not many research about it. And as we speak, there is even a research group or foundation that has been set up in US to study about this. So what more in Malaysia? And I understand that the medical world, in terms of technology for the medical world in Malaysia, is not even that advanced. So I can imagine how bleak that time was when I got the news. And obviously, the hardest part was actually breaking the news to my parents, as as we have read my article in New Straits Times. It was the hardest thing for me to do. I wasn't able to break the news to my parents, to be honest. I smile about it now because I'm over it. I've already come into terms and I'm already 100% healed. So that's why I'm able to talk easily without even crying. So when I was diagnosed, then, as you know, in KL, there was only me and my husband. And for me, and he's working full time as well. And we have a fur dog. So obviously, my mom and my parents actually came down and my auntie and my cousins actually jumped in to help me. So that made me feel very taken care of and very loved, because I was in the point of my life where I thought, I wasn't really important. Not many people paid attention to me specifically. So when they offered to help to take care of me, that was such a blessing, and to date I'm still very thankful for what they've helped me with. Especially during COVID times, during the lockdown, it was so bad, because what happened was my husband so happened to come in close contact with one of the PUIs, or someone who got PUI, and then I remember him calling me and say, hey, you kind of need to evacuate from the house because there's a risk. And I remember that time I just finished my first round of chemo. So what chemo does is it kind of kills your good cells, and basically your immune system is so low. So I had to pack. My parents had to pack also with me, and we had to shift out and live with my auntie about 20 kilometers from. So basically we have to shift from where I live to another a place of 20 kilometers where I stay. And after that my husband had to be quarantined for he quarantined himself for 14 days just in case, to be safe. Obviously, thank goodness he was negative, because the PUI that we suspected was also negative, so that was good news. But he still wanted to be quarantined for 14 days just in case. And before his 14 days was up, lockdown started. So then I wasn't staying with my husband for 4 months. I didn't see him for 4 months, but of course occasional times he would come and pick me up for chemo, and that was it. So yeah, times were tough then. But the support from my auntie and my uncle and my cousins and even my parents. My mom stayed with me. My dad went back to my hometown. It helped a lot to know that they supported me, and the fact that I couldn't go out to buy groceries. I had a 70-year-old auntie who actually had to do groceries for me, and she had to cook for me, and my parents had to cook for me. So obviously, I'm a full-grown adult. I should be able to take care of myself, right? But yeah, so that made me feel like, oh my God, I'm very, very thankful for the support that I had for them to come over and take care of me. Um, so to be honest with you, when I first diagnosed, as I said, 4 months ago, I didn't tell anyone. I decided to just keep it quiet because I needed to come into terms of what I had. And it took me 4 months, and then when I finally decided I was ready, I even made my husband promise not to tell anyone, because we shared mutual friends, and you can understand the stress he had to go through of not telling anybody of what I had, and he dealt it alone. So I'm always thankful to him that he he kept his end. He actually helped to keep my secret, I guess, for 4 months, and he respected my decision. So as a husband, I'm always thankful for that because he respected what I wanted. And to be honest, he was the one who actually researched everything on what I had. He read up a lot of articles, a lot of researches, and to be honest, most of the time I remember there was one time we went to the earlier oncologist, the earlier hospital. We went to speak to the oncology, and the oncologist couldn't even advise, and my husband was driving the conversation. So that's how much he learned up about what I had. So yeah, very thankful. How they treated me differently, there were a mixed bag of emotions, I think. Some of them were those who were very close to me, or those who knew me very well, they were very shocked. They were very basically shocked, I think that would be the right word, or dumbfounded that I was diagnosed with that. Because as I explained to my lifestyle, it was the list of what you would expect. And then when the support started pouring in, that's when I was so touched, and I was very grateful. I think the feeling was I was very grateful for their support and their help. Some of them even offered financial help, so as 20K per trip is not exactly very cheap. So yeah, so of course, the help that came in, they helped any way they could, or they even helped. They actually offered. The fact that they actually offered meant a lot to me. And obviously some of them, they tried to advise me things, tell me to do this, tell me to do that, based on other people's experience. So yeah, I'm really thankful for their advice and their suggestions. What are the three things? Okay, firstly, it's not the end. I think it's not the end. For me, when I first was told of this, the questions that I usually ask myself is, why me? You know, I've done whatever I could. I've ticked the boxes. I've taken care of everything. So why me? So I think along the way, I had help to change that mindset. I go for for sessions to understand more in terms of what is this trying to teach me. What is this part of the journey that's trying to teach me about my life? You know, what is it? What kind of wake up call am I supposed to understand from this? So if you are diagnosed with this, please do know that don't take it as it's the last, as in like this the final destination. Think of it as it is as a pit stop. You know, even in when you do race cars, the driver needs to take a break, right? So your body is actually telling you something is wrong and you need to take a break to reassess your life, to reassess the situation that you are in, and to think when you are not, it's not even a matter of if you're given a second chance in life. It is when you are given a second chance in life, what will you do differently? So that was the question that I kept on asking myself, and I've actually engaged a life coach who actually helped me through this, because mental wellness is very important for the recovery during your treatment, to be honest, because when one goes through chemo and radio, or even chemo alone, it can be very devastating to your body, and also it kind of drains your energy out. Hence, your brain or basically your thoughts are very important to keep your body, because basically how your body functions depending on what happens here, right? So you kind of need to keep your brain or you know, to be as at tip-top condition or as positive as you can, because to me, if you think that this is the end of it, then for me personally, half the battle is already lost. So the life coach that I engaged with has actually helped me a lot to maintain a positive outlook in life. And now that I have a second chance in life, there's a lot of things that I really want to do. So that is first thing. Second thing is take care. I think it was in between one of my messages on the first point, was actually to take care of your mental wellness. Because sometimes a lot of people will come to you and tell you, oh, you should do this, you should do that. I have another friend who went through it. She did this, she did that, or he did this and he did that. So take their advice in, but however, evaluate what works best for you, because what I've learned is that not every cancer patient is the same. Not every person will go through the same symptoms or go through the same effects. For example, a lot of even my onco then, she told me that, you know, you will have mood swings. You might have mood swings. You might puke. You might throw your guts out. You might have diarrhea, and all that. So I can tell you, throughout my treatment, I didn't even throw up once. So just to let you know the context, not everybody will go through the same. Also, if that person has, depending on the chemo drug that the person goes through, not everyone will lose their hair too. So don't be despaired of what you see on the movies. Don't believe everything you see or what people tell you. Make your own assessment, and be sure that you're strong enough to make your own opinions of what your life is. So that's number 2. Number 3, take it easy. Be kind to yourself, I think. A lot of times, if one goes through chemo or radiotherapy, it can be very taxing and it's very trying. And you can understand sometimes your caretakers or your caregivers are also very tired, right? So, and then you're moody as well. And it's okay for you to cry, and it's okay for you to have down times, and you just want to curl up and just not talk to anyone, and it's okay. Be kind to yourself and say, okay, it's all right. I need this time just to be me, and just take the time to come back stronger. I think once you have actually recovered, you have done what you needed to get everything out from your system. When you come back, tell yourself, understand why you did that, and try to to accept what you've gone through and just move on. Because sometimes I don't know about you, but I can be quite hard on myself sometimes. I'll go like, my goodness, I don't understand why I'm crying, especially after chemo. I think it kind of messes my mood up. So I will just say, okay, fine, tomorrow is a better day. And every day I always tell myself before I sleep, every day and every way I'm getting better and better. So I don't know if it's, again, that mantra has helped me throughout my recovery phase. I think from February all the way to date, now it's November, but then in October that was my mantra every night before I sleep. And even every time every time I think about it, I will always say, okay, every day and every way I'm getting better and better, so that even if it's just 0.01%, there is still progress. And it doesn't have to be a big progress in a day. Just take baby steps, and at the end, victory will be in your hands, that's for sure. So just be patient, be resilient, and be strong. I think it was in my messaging also earlier on that do not assume that your loved one would go through exactly what other people go through. It's a different experience. For example, if you were to line up 10 people that has been diagnosed with 10 with breast cancer, for example, all 10 of them will even tell you a different experience what they had. It will tell you maybe possibly the different variations of treatments that they had to go through, because every one of them, everybody's body is different, everybody's diagnosis or prognosis is different. So just don't assume that because someone else has done it, they should follow the same. Yes, they can try, of course they can try, but just be kind. Just take note that it's not the same. Secondly is it's not going to be easy. It will be challenging at times because the chemotherapy and radiotherapy does kind of mess the person's mood a little bit. So if the person if the person needs to cry, or is sad, or they've got mood swings, let the person be. Just be there for that person, I think, and not nag. Of course, you want to make sure that she or she has the best treatment, right? So just be there for that person, and I know that don't take it too personally if the person actually shouts at you and screams at you, or just scolds you and stuff. It is not really because of them. Sometimes it's just the drugs that kind of makes them moody that way. I personally have not taken out I've not taken out on my mom or my auntie who's taking care of me. So because I knew that consciously it's sometimes the drug does that, so I try to be mindful and I just keep quiet and accept and say, yeah, this is just a phase I'm going through. And then I'll go for my sessions with my life coach and say, oh my goodness, I had this thought today, I nearly wanted to slap someone. And that helps, because then you kind of talk to someone, a professional one, and he or she can then guide you through that thought process. And yes, you can accept that, so that sometimes that feelings you just can't keep it inside, because it's not really good to keep negative emotions inside. So it's just good to be able to talk to someone. And of course, it's good that if you can talk to someone neutral who doesn't know your family, who doesn't know a friend, or even to a friend. It's not really good to share that with someone, because then that person might be biased and then they might lean towards what you're thinking. So it's always good to get a third party person to talk to in that way. So yeah, as a caregiver, and also another thing is sometimes the person that who's undergoing this, they may not want to eat, not because they don't want to eat, it's because sometimes they just don't have the the appetite to eat. So yeah, so just be prepared. It's not because your food is bad. Just be kind to them, I think, and just be patient. I know there's always a limit, but when you do, I think if you, as a caregiver, if you have hit your limit, it's always good to have a backup plan so that the other person can step in for you, and have someone whom then you can, person can step in, and then you can go off and just re-energize and reset, and then come back stronger to support your loved one to go through this. So yeah, those are, I think, my some of my messages, I think. So yeah, I hope this has helped you. I'll speak to you soon.